What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Huddle Hub podcast. My name is Metal Mike, and I'm joined here, as always, on a Tuesday night with the Pickmaster himself, Mr. Candyman, Johnny H. John. How you doing on this wonderful football Tuesday?
Oh, great, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I feel like, especially in the NFL, there were so many upsets on Sunday. It's just crazy, but I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. You know, we're reaching the halfway point of the NFL season. We're coming up on week 9. Trade deadline coming up next Tuesday. So a lot of exciting news coming out as far as following everything coming out as football. As far as I'm doing all right, man. I mean, beautiful day out today. It was a little chilly out. Took a nice walk in the morning time and then had a bunch of shit to do in the afternoon. And, now we're here.
That was a beautiful weekend.
It was a beautiful weekend. It was a nice weekend. It was. But we are here on the Huddle Hub Podcast Tuesday edition, as we are going to talk about the top 25 in college football, as we always do on a Tuesday night. We run down the top 25 and all the matchups going on. We also talk about the news coming out of college football, the news coming out of the NFL. We break down some of the milestones and records that were broken in week 8. And we are going to talk about the rundown from week 8 itself in the NFL. Before we do, I want to remind everybody to head over to the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias right now on X, TikTok, and YouTube at the Huddle Pod, Twitch at the Huddle Podcast. Make sure you're hitting all those follow buttons, and over on the YouTube, hitting the subscribe button. Making sure you're turning on the notifications, checking out and helping us build the Huddle Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. So, John, the first things first, the pick challenge is updated. I'm 77-44. You're 80-41. You are 3 games up on me now. So last week it was 2. Now it is 3. We had 1 difference this week, and you got that win. It was the Sunday night game between the Packers and the Steelers, where the Packers came out on top. And then in college football, it just keeps going. We keep winning. You know, I had the hiccup in week 1 by picking Boise State, and then we both lost. I believe it was like week 4 or 5 that we both lost.
You jinxed Boise State's whole season the first week.
I did, because they are a
derailed them
terrible team. So I lost the Boise State pick, and then in week 6, I was close. Week 6, you took Texas, I took Penn State, and that's when Penn State lost to, I believe it was Oregon or it was UCLA.
Oh, it was UCLA because yes. I called Oregon beating Penn State the week before on the show.
And you took you took Texas, and we both lost that week. And then since then, we've just been winning. So I mean, this still could come down. What's up, Cam? Thank you for coming in tonight. Appreciate you being here, checking out the Tuesday edition of the show. But yeah, I mean, not bad. The split is close, almost midway through the season, coming up to the midway point, and things are normally worse for me at this point. Normally. I drank the Kool-Aid and making smarter picks this year. And that's,
Yeah, you turned your back on the Panthers, you turned your back on the Browns, you turned your back on the Texans. It's only a matter of time before you backstab somebody else. Who's the next team you're gonna backstab? Those were always your solid picks.
So to be fair, they win and then they lose. They win and then they lose. There's no consistency. Like last year, there was a consistency of losing, and they gave me that excitement to want to take the chance on them to the off chance that they might actually fucking win. But no, they didn't do that.
Too.
Well, there's still 10 weeks left in the regular season.
For you to pick.
There's still 10 weeks in the regular season. And to be fair, I've picked the Panthers 5 times this year. So, and we're only in week 9, going into week 9. So I've picked them a fairly good amount of times. I did. And the Texans. I've picked the Texans a fairly good amount of times.
That's exactly what he's doing, Cam. He learned how to pick from losing for me for so long. He started thinking, what would the Candyman do? Who would the Candyman pick?
You're also on like a 9-year streak right now, okay?
That's why I'm the pick master, bro. You didn't beat me in the UFL. You've never beat me in the NFL. I'm winning the college football challenge. That's why I'm the pick master.
I mean, I gotta try and get one. I try and get at least 1 year. Because what will happen is if I win this year, what's going to happen last year? What's going to happen next year? By this time next year, I'm going to be down by like 14 games. This is probably my only good year before I go back to picking, bad picks and being down 14 games midway through the season.
My goodness, no faith at all, man, in his picks.
I don't know. But that's the update on the pick challenge. Let's run down week 8 in the NFL, John. We had some good games. Like you said, there was a lot of upsets. That happened. That happened throughout the NFL this week. As you see on the bottom scroll, that I do have the division leaders in the NFC East is the Eagles, Packers in the North, Bucks in the South, Seahawks in the West. In the AFC, the Patriots in the East, Steelers in the North, Colts in the South, Broncos in the West. Those are our division leaders going into week 9 this week. Me and Cam will cover week 9 on the Sunday show at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But John, what were the games from week 8 that caught your eye, that had you that you were focused on this week?
I'm going to just give a quick highlight of 3 games. One, I want to say welcome back, CJ Stroud, even if it's for 1 week only. He was 30 for 39, 318 yards and 2 touchdowns, and led the 2-win Houston Texans to upset the 49ers and knock them all the way down to 3rd place in their division. So welcome back, CJ. Congratulations to the New York Football Jets for making it actually a game against the Bengals. They came back against a big deficit, scoring 23 points in the 4th quarter to get their first win of the season. And I want to give a shout out to Tyler Huntley of the Ravens. I'm not just doing this just because I went to that game and I was in Baltimore at M&T on Sunday. But, man, the kid managed the game very well. Derrick Henry was good on the ground. He wasn't dominant. He only had 71 carries for 2 touchdowns. But he started looking like the Derrick Henry of old. Huntley managed the game really well and led the Ravens to a 30-16 win, giving them their 2nd win of the season. So congratulations, Baltimore. What were your games you want to talk about, Mike?
Speaking of Derrick Henry, we do have a milestone record that he broke this week in that game. So I'll get to that in a few moments when we get to the milestones and records. But my first game of the week was the Chargers getting back to the winning ways on Thursday night, beating the Vikings 37-10. For a couple weeks there, they started struggling. They came out hot in the beginning of the year, had a couple weeks of struggle, and they come out against the Vikings and purely dominate. And Arondé Gadsden, the tight end, coming out of nowhere these past 2-3 weeks, he's starting to become a viable receiver for Justin Herbert out in Los Angeles. The question is now, are the Chargers back on track, being 2nd place in the AFC West and only a game behind the Broncos? It's yet to be known, but the Chargers getting back to their winning ways. Game number 2 was the Giants and the Eagles. The Eagles coming out and kind of getting their revenge on the Giants, winning the game 38-20. But the one thing I want to point out that was very, very sad to see was that Cam Scatterby went down. That was a rough injury, and it was on such a simple play.
Oh, no, his ankle.
Ooh. It was rough. It was just rough to watch, not only on TV, but you see the replays of it on social media throughout the rest of the day, throughout the night. And then you see the still frame pictures of it, and it's like, man. And he went out to thank all the doctors and the city of Philadelphia for taking such good care of him. Even Big Dom, the security guard for the Eagles.
Yep, I read that too.
He went out and sent a care package to Cam and said, we wish you well.
It was cheesesteak and something else.
It was a cheesesteak, and it was a cheesesteak, and he also got some what else was it? It was some kind of snack that's known in Philly. I forget what else it was, but
I forget what it is too.
The other thing is that and here's the thing is a lot of people like to hate or say that Philly fans are like the worst fans. Cam Scatterby got a standing ovation. A respectful standing ovation.
Well, to be fair, they did cheer when Michael Irvin basically had his career-ending injury.
Different times though. You go back to that time, dude. football was totally different back in that time.
Did you see Jackson Dart's reaction?
Oh,
Like
he was
generally upset.
Mad. That was
like Jameis Winston came over on the sidelines to try to calm him down. Like you can tell those two are like BFFs, man.
I mean, I felt bad for Jackson Dart. I felt bad for Cam Scatterbo. And I'll say this, man, a little piece of my heart kind of feels bad for the Giants because it's almost like they started figuring things out and started getting themselves back on track slowly but surely. And just a freak accident. I mean, Cam Scatterbo was setting himself up to possibly go for Rookie of the Year. And it sucks.
Though, the way he plays, like he runs angry and he looks for contact. I mean, to be fair, that's going to catch up with him eventually, and it caught up with him sooner or later. As a running back, you want to try to avoid not to get hit, not to run over somebody just because you can. But, I mean, he'll learn, though. It's his rookie year.
But the route that he ran was just a simple, it was a streak comeback route. He went up, came back, went for the ball, and it was just a simple route. It was nothing big, nothing spectacular. And I was saying this on Sunday that, this kid reminds me of a Jeremy Shockey. Jeremy Shockey had the same mindset of play. Like, he was looking for the hits. He was hitting people without a helmet. Yeah.
First time I saw him run, I was like, "Oh my God, this guy's like Kyle Juszczyk, but faster." Yeah. But that's a good comparison when he catches the ball.
Yeah. Third game I have to say is the and I'm sorry for this, Cam. Please don't be mad at me, but I have to say the Packers and Steelers. The Packers have not won in Pittsburgh since 1970. It's been a long streak since they went out and won in Pittsburgh. Even though Pittsburgh lost this game, they are still in first place in their division. They still have control of the North right now. And I think Pittsburgh at some point can turn this around and get back on track. I think they do. I think they have the team to do it. Aaron Rodgers, I still think, is a great addition to this team. He's keeping this team on track. They met up with a Packers team who was determined to go out and win this ball game after struggling the past couple weeks. Even in wins, they were struggling. The Packers needed to get a win like this to get back on track to what they were trying to do. I think the Steelers will get back on track, moving on from this. But, I mean, the Packers, hats off getting that win out in Pittsburgh and breaking that 48-year streak.
The AFC North is the worst division of football. Yeah, the Browns, who stink.
It's rough.
The Ravens, who stink. 1 win, 2 win. The Bengals, who are 3-5, that – okay, Flacco's there. It's giving them maybe an outside chance at a wild card spot. There's no reason Pittsburgh shouldn't run away from this division.
Yeah.
They don't have the injury problems. They're solid on defense, solid on offense. They just played a game. That game could have went either way going into that game. They just played an equally good team.
Yeah.
So they'll get back on track.
I mean, the Steelers do have the Colts this weekend. It is in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, maybe home field could help them out a little bit being in their home stadium.
Yeah, that's a must-win game because the Colts are looking like the class of the AFC right now, 7-1. So that's a must-win game.
Yeah. But and Pittsburgh, again, if they would to go out and win the ball game against Indianapolis on Sunday, and I said this to Cam on the Sunday show, Pittsburgh, if they get back on track coming off that loss against Cincinnati, then they could put themselves in position for possibly having home field advantage through the playoffs. Then they pick up the loss to Green Bay. They're still in position because they're playing the top team in the AFC on Sunday. If they go out and beat them, that's head-to-head. If they end up finishing with the same record, Steelers win because they get that head-to-head. So there's still a chance that the Steelers could possibly put themselves in position for home field advantage if things stay the way that's happening right now. So, but that's that for the Week 8 recap. Me and Cam will run down Week 9 on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Huddle Hub Podcast Twitch and the Huddle Hub Pod YouTube channel. John, let's get into the NFL records and milestones that were broken this week. I told you that Derrick Henry made it to the record books this week. He surpassed Walter Payton for 5th all-time with his 111th career rushing touchdown. So Derrick Henry in the record books, yes. Drake May just keeps ending up in the record books every week. He achieved his 7th consecutive game with 200-plus passing yards and 100-plus pass rating. Only 4 other quarterbacks have accomplished that. And this is some great surroundings to be, some great company to be around. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Peyton Manning are the only other 4 quarterbacks to do it. Some great company to be around. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver of the Vikings, he became the youngest player to reach 8,000 career receiving yards. So Justin Jefferson in the books. Myles Garrett, defensive end of the Browns, he recorded 5 sacks in the game on Sunday, surpassing Reggie White for most sacks by a player before they turned 30, since the stat became official back in 1982. So Myles Garrett getting in there. Jonathan Taylor, running back of the Colts. We talked about this on the Sunday show, but Jonathan Taylor keeps adding to his record books. He had his 2nd consecutive 3 rushing touchdown game. It is his 4th one of the season. He is 1 away from tying LaDainian Tomlinson's record from 2006 and 2 games away from surpassing LaDainian Tomlinson for 3 rushing touchdown games. Wow. So Jonathan Taylor, yeah, and he's on pace to rush for 2,200 yards this year. So I don't care what
anybody says about the MVP being a quarterback award. I really think the best player in the league this year is Jonathan Taylor. He has been unstoppable this year.
Cam says he has a Steelers rant coming for me on Sunday. Well, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to hear it.
Oh, that should be fun to listen to.
One more. James Cook, running back of the Bills. He rushed for 216 yards in 3 quarters on Sunday. It is the most by any NFL player since 2018. So his 216 yards before we even got to the 4th quarter. So James Cook is in the record books as well. But that's it for all the records and milestones from this week that were broken. You got one? Okay.
Yes, I got one.
Which one?
Yes. No, I'm kidding. During the Chiefs game, what was that, Monday night?
Yes.
Travis Kelce's 10-yard touchdown, I believe, is his 83rd touchdown as a Chief. And that ties him with Priest Holmes for all-time touchdown leaders for the Chiefs. So he just needs one more touchdown to be the leader of most touchdowns for a Kansas City Chief.
All right. I mean, Travis Kelce, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. No questions asked. He is. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer all the way.
Oh, hands down, yeah.
But that's it for all the records and milestones coming out of the NFL. We will have more milestones and records for you guys next week, because I'm sure as the weeks go on, more records are going to be broken and met and surpassed and everything. So, John, let's get into the NFL news coming out of the week since Sunday afternoon. Again, we talked about Cam Skattebo, running back of the Giants. He suffered a dislocated ankle in Sunday's loss to the Eagles, underwent surgery Sunday night in Philadelphia, spent the weekend, rest of the weekend in the hospital, and I believe he went home to New York today. So Cam Skattebo, it seems like if the Giants were to just so happen to make the playoffs, there's a chance he may be back for that. But as of right now, this is season ending. So if you have any more thoughts on Cam Skattebo.
Might as well call it season ending. The Giants have, 2 wins? They're not making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's rough. Spencer Rattler, quarterback of the Saints, he was benched mid-third quarter Sunday versus the Bucs. Rookie Tyler Shough took over the rest of the game. It has been announced today that Tyler Shough is taking over as the starting quarterback out in New Orleans. So now the rookie is going to be taking over fully out in New Orleans. And you called this, John, at the beginning of the year. You said it. I think you said that you think Tyler Shough is going to be the starter by week 7, week 8. It happened.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with Spencer Rattler. I didn't like him in college last year. I didn't think he was very good. And I think that's the Saints believe the same thing, but they wanted to give him an honest shot. They drafted a rookie just in case their suspicions were correct. I like Shough in Louisville. I did. I'm not going to lie. I want to see how he develops, and I'm going to actually be paying attention to how the Saints offense works now this year. The Saints have my attention now. You're right, Cam. Rattler ain't it. Like I said it last year. I said it at the beginning of the year this year. So I really want to see how Shough does.
Well, these Saints are going to be a part of the 4 p.m. Eastern set of games this weekend against the Rams. So it's going to be a big matchup for them.
Oh, Saints, help the Niners out.
There you go. Wide receiver Tyler Lockett, he asked for his release earlier in the season. He has signed a contract with the Raiders, so Tyler Lockett is a new wide receiver out in Las Vegas.
Makes sense. His old coach, his old quarterback. It makes sense. Actually, no, that's that was Tyler Lockett. Yeah,
Yes.
duh. I was thinking of I can't think of who he was, but the guy who used to play for the Bengals.
The guy who used to play for the Bengals.
Wide receiver.
TJ Houshmandzadeh?
No. He was a recent Bengal. He left.
Recent Bengal? I mean, you have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Yeah, then there was a third one, but I can't remember his name. He kind of got undershadowed. But I know who Tyler Lockett is. I was just thinking of the wrong guy.
I think I know
him a lot in Seattle.
I think I know who you're talking about, but the name is slipping my mind as well. I think I know who you're talking about. The Rams and Titans, they made a trade. As we know, the trade deadline is coming up next Tuesday, November 4th. And the Titans on Saturday made the announcement that their roster is completely open. They are taking phone calls for anybody on their roster but 2 players, Cam Ward and a defensive lineman that they just signed this year. Other than that, everybody's available. Well, the Rams jumped on that immediately on Monday afternoon, and they had traded with the Titans, getting the Rams got Roger McCreary, cornerback, and a 6th-round conditional draft pick, and the Titans in return got a 5th-round conditional draft pick. Now, not only that, the Titans aren't the only team to make this announcement. The Jets today made the announcement that they are also open to listening to trades, even for defensive tackle Quentin Williams and running back Breece Hall. So the Jets and the Titans right now pretty much opening up to a full-on overhaul. Do you think this is a good move for both of these teams to do this, even with the position they're in?
Yeah, I mean, they might as well. What are they playing for? You said the Jets and the Titans. What are they playing for? They're playing for draft stock right now. So
yeah,
I completely agree with that whatsoever. In fact, I honestly think, and I said this to my buddies when we were driving down to Baltimore, if I was the Jets, if I was the owner, I would fire Aaron Glenn. I would fire the defensive coordinator. I would get them out right now, even though they just signed Glenn. Because think about it. You have Justin Fields struggled, and then you put in, oh my gosh, I can't think of his name.
Tyrod Taylor,
the backup for the Jets.
Tyrod Taylor,
thank you, who is usually a good backup, one of the best backups in the league, and he's playing as bad as Justin Fields. So to me, that's a system thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like get him out. Admit you made a mistake. Give Glenn the chance to go back to being a defensive coordinator, because some players are better to being some coaches are better to be coordinators than players. Robert Saleh proved that when he went back to the 49ers after leaving the Jets. And now the Niners defense, who are playing with backups, are one of the best defenses in the league again.
Look at Josh
that's just my take.
Josh McDaniels, same thing. He's a better coordinator than head coach. Two failed attempts at head coach, went right back to New England after both stints. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong on that. Some coaches are better as coordinators or assistants or position coaches as
the player I was thinking of, it wasn't Tyler Lockett. I just looked it up. It was Tyler Boyd.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
That's the guy I was thinking of. That was the Bengals. That was basically in Lockett's role as the Bengal.
Cam says that Justin Fields is good. He's just in a losing organization. I mean,
I agree with that.
That's a pretty fair statement to the fact. I mean, look what he did out in Pittsburgh last year, the first 4 or 5 weeks, before Russell Wilson took over. He had some pretty good, decent statistics. So not wrong. Even in Chicago, he was not that bad in Chicago.
I still think the Bears shouldn't have got rid of him. Personally, I think Williams is better than Fields. So it'll work out for him in the end. But at the time, I thought they were crazy.
Yeah.
For getting rid of him.
I agree. Carson Wentz, quarterback of the Vikings, he's undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery this week. He is done for the season. So the Vikings are down to their 3rd string quarterback, whoever that may be, because J.J. McCarthy isn't ready to be back. Carson Wentz is done. So the Vikings going into the Lions game this week, I think it's going to be a rough go for Minnesota this week. I do.
Yeah, that's rough. They lose McCarthy. and then they lose Wentz, even though, to be fair, that he wasn't really playing that good. But looking at their depth chart right now, JJ McCarthy is listed questionable, but if he can't go, rookie Max Brosmer out of Minnesota is going to be the guy if JJ McCarthy can't go.
I mean, that's if they don't try and make a trade deal sometime in the next day or two.
Welcome back, Kirk Cousins.
There you go. I mean, that'd be a perfect thing for them to do.
Welcome back.
But that's all depending on how Michael Penix looks going in, because Michael Penix is down right now. Yeah. So, I mean, it would be a perfect fit. That's not a bad idea for Minnesota to do because he knows the system. He's very good with the head coach. He knows the coaching staff. Perfect fit.
I don't think they get rid of him because their third string quarterback, Emory Jones, is on the injured reserve. So if Penix is hurt, that only leaves Kirk Cousins as their only option. So I don't think, now that I look at their depth chart, I don't think that trade happens.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to see if the Vikings make any moves this week. I would say they would have to do it in the next 48 hours or else they're going to have to stick with Brosmer. They're going to have to. Or
McCarthy.
Yeah, if McCarthy's good to go, take your chance. Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Ravens, he's expected to return for the Thursday game against Miami, so Lamar Jackson's going to be back for Baltimore. Jacoby Myers, wide receiver of the Raiders, he is seeking to be traded. The team is open to offers right now, so they're taking phone calls on Jacoby Myers. They accepted his request. So
I would love San Francisco to sign him. I've been a fan of him since he was a rookie with New England. This kid is fast. He is a smart runner. I would love to have him in San Francisco.
And it'd be a good time to do it, number one. And he'd be, like you said, he'd be a great fit out there.
Yep.
Especially with Ayuk being out and Juwan Jennings having his up and downs with injuries this year. Why not?
Yeah.
So Patrick Surtain, cornerback of the Broncos, he is a candidate to be placed on IR. He did suffer an injury in Sunday's game. So the Broncos going to be down a cornerback for possibly the rest of the season. It's unsure how bad his injury is. But as we know, John, with going on IR, you're out a minimum 4 weeks.
Yep.
So, and then last bit of news in the NFL, the NFL did lose a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, center, our offensive lineman center, Nick Mangold, former New York Jet, passed away at the age of 41 to heart failure. He was drafted in 2006 in the first round, 29th overall to the Jets. He retired in 2018. He started 164 games. He was a 3-time first-team All-Pro in 2009, 10, and 11, 7-time Pro Bowler in 2008 to 2011, and then 2013 to 2015. He was also a PFWA All-Rookie team in 2006. He's also in the Jets Ring of Honor. He's a national champion out in Ohio State in 2002. First-team All-American in 2005. Second-team All-Big Ten in 2005. So Nick Mangold passed away at the age of 41.
That's crazy. I believe he was 41 years old.
Yeah, 41.
When I saw that, I was like, that's how old I am. Like, that's crazy. Like, that kind of hit me a little bit.
Yeah, I when I seen the news the other day, I was like, man, like it just felt like yesterday that he retired because I remember him retiring in 2018.
Oh, he was a beast. Too,
he was.
Man. He was one of the best O linemen in the league when he played.
Definitely one of the best to do it. So, but that's all we got in the NFL news coming out of the week. We will have more news for you on the Sunday show with myself and Cam, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Twitch channel and YouTube channel. John, we're going to take about a 45 second break. We will be back right here on the Huddle Podcast with college football stuff. right, so make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Up Podcast social medias after the show. Make sure you're hitting that follow button over on the X, the TikTok, and the subscription button on the YouTube. That's how you follow on YouTube, is hitting subscribe at the Huddle Up Pod, and over here on the Twitch channel at the Huddle Up Podcast, hit that follow button, turn the notifications on, check out all the great content we're putting out here on the Huddle Up Podcast, not only on the lives, but the recordings. John has been doing the video game stuff for our NCAA Football 26 Dynasty. We are about to wrap up season 4. He's been working on all the great content that's put out for that. Also, you can check out the shorts from all the shows, past and present, and when we post for the future. So please head over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social media after the show. Hit that follow button. Help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. So, John, let's get into the college football news coming out of the week. The biggest news to come out is Brian Kelly, head coach of LSU. He has been fired. So LSU dropping their head coach. He was hired back in 2022. His overall record was 34-14. He went 19-10 in the SEC, 29-11. 29-11 from the 2022 to the 2025 season. Yes, from the 2022 to 2025 season. In 2002, he went 10-4, 6-2 in the SEC. In 23, he went 10-3, 6-2 in the SEC. 2024, 9-4, 5-3 in the SEC, and then he finished the season. He was 5-3 before he got fired this year. He did reach the SEC title game in 2022. He did go to 3 bowl games, including the Citrus Bowl. And the team has a $54 million buyout on him, so they owe him $54 million yet. Thoughts on Brian Kelly getting fired out of
the money that these schools are giving? That's like another coach that's getting a buyout this year because they're not living up to expectations. Like, that's like crazy. The money these schools are just, I'm just gonna say, waste.
Yeah, I mean, when I seen this happen Sunday afternoon, I was like, man, I mean, LSU, I know they've been up and down the board all season. They have been. I mean, they were in the top 25 at one point. They were actually at the top of the top 25 at one point towards the beginning of the year. And they just fell. And to now not see them in the top 25, I think for the first time this year, is just crazy to see. And I know you're 5-3. Again, this is almost like another James Franklin situation. Had winning seasons every year, went to an SEC title game, won bowl games, went to the Citrus Bowl, and you got fired. You had winning records, winning seasons, and got fired. So it has to lead up to the question now is, what is the standard to being a successful coach in college football today? Because you're getting fired with winning records.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think it's different than the James Franklin situation, because if you run down what he did since 2002 record-wise, it's gradually declining. Whereas Franklin was consistently winning for the most part, at least in recent years. I think it's a little bit different there, that you could see the gradual decline of LSU. I think that's what really knocked him in, and I mean, sealed the deal for him.
Cam says it seems like college football are way more strict on their expectations of their head coaches than the NFL. I mean, if you look at it in a sense, yeah, because the season is a lot shorter in college football. Yeah, the season is a lot shorter.
You have to get the recruits' attention. You can't be a losing school and expect to get good recruits. So I feel like they have to be.
I mean, the season's a lot shorter. It's only, you're playing 12, 13, sometimes 14 games. You get 1 or 2 bye weeks throughout the season. You get 1 bum game against an FCS West, East, South, Southeast team, whatever. Hey, and that's where
colleges.
Yeah, I mean, but that's where your dump wins come out of. It counts.
Smaller schools.
It counts towards your record, but it doesn't count towards what you're doing as far as climbing up the rankings. And it's nice to go out and get those wins and try and set yourself up for success. But then when you put yourself in a position, let's say you're in the top 10 and you're late into the season, you're playing another top 10 team and you can't get over that hump, that's a problem. And when it's a consistent problem, the school is going to look at that like, It's great that you're giving us 10-4, 13-2, 11-4 seasons, but we're finishing, 20th or 18th or 15th or 22nd. We're not getting into the college football playoff. We're playing in the Pop-Tart Bowl on New Year's Eve. All that stuff. We're not in the college football playoff. We're not going for a national championship, and that's what schools are looking for. When you look at a contract for a college football coach, it somewhat mirrors an NFL coach, but sometimes supersedes an NFL coach's contract because of the expectation that they have in college. So the expectations are going to be there because of the shorter season and what you have to endure in your last 6-7 games when you get into conference play. So it's a lot rougher, and your opportunities are a little less because of the fact that if you lose even one conference game and you have two other schools that go out and go undefeated in the conference, you're not making the conference title game, and you may be lucky to get into the college football playoff because it depends on what the other schools do.
And that was Rich Franklin's problem. He had problems against Ohio State. He had problems against Michigan. The big schools, Oregon, in the Big Ten, he had problems with. It's great that he got them into the playoffs consistently.
Yeah.
But Penn State didn't want a coach that was happy to be there. And I'm not saying that was Rich Franklin's attitude. They want a coach that would get them to the promised land and win them a national championship.
And when we talked about James Franklin a couple weeks ago, I still
said Rich Franklin. I think
it's okay. You did, but it's okay. When we talked about James Franklin a couple weeks ago, I sat and I still stand here on what I said. Like, you can't just throw everything on him. You got to hold the players accountable as well. But and the other side of it that I really want to say is, you can go and give all the rah-rah speeches you want and try and make people happy about what you say, but back up what you say at that podium. And James Franklin, to an extent, was doing that, but it was only so much, because then he would go out and lose the big games to like Ohio State, Michigan, and then make it to the college football playoff in the semifinals and lose to a team like Notre Dame. Notre Dame was a hell of a team last year. They were.
Yeah.
But that was a very winnable game for Penn State. It was the Drew Aller mistake late in the game that hurt them on that. But at the end of the day, you're going to throw that mistake on James Franklin. Why? Because he's a coach. Oh, he should be coaching them how to do this. He can only coach Drew Aller so much on how to form and how to throw a ball until Drew Aller gets to the NFL level and he overexceeds himself. If you look at the beginning of Josh Allen's career, he looked terrible when he threw the ball. Now look at him. It's because it took him until he got to the NFL to really learn a form on how to throw an NFL football. And that's what I mean. It's college. You can only go so far. Same in high school, same in Pee Wee. You can only go so far with how you do things in your position before having to get to that next level. So, but there is talk about the possibilities of Brian Kelly, and this was the rumor coming out yesterday that Brian Kelly is apparently being very heavily recruited to go to Penn State.
Really?
And take over Penn State. Yeah. Some rumors flying around about that. So
interesting.
Yeah. Well, so we'll have to keep our eye on that and talk about that the further we get down the road if it happens. But John, that's all the news from college football. That was really much it. Not a lot of big news this week, college football.
Yeah.
So let's get into the college football week 10. Let's break it down from the top 25. Couple top 25 matchups this week. But let's start off with number 1, Ohio State. They're 7-0. Didn't move anywhere this week. Coming off the bye week, they are going to host Penn State this week. So what do you got on Ohio State and Penn State?
This is a matchup that I would love to say could be a game of the week. And at the beginning of the year, it could have been. But let's be honest, Penn State hasn't won since September 13th. They're on a 4-game losing streak. And I think Ohio State's just going to roll. It's just, sorry to say this, Mike, but I think they're just going to steamroll them.
John, you don't have to apologize because I'm with you on that. I don't think Penn State has much of a chance to go into this game on Saturday and win. I think this is Ohio's game to take. I wouldn't even sit here and say, oh, this could be a trap game for Ohio State. No, I don't feel that way. I think Penn State, coming off the loss to Oregon and then the loss to UCLA, there was the dagger in the heart. It wasn't even the game after UCLA. That was the dagger in the heart. That UCLA game was the dagger in the heart. And I don't see any chance of Penn State going in and defeating Ohio State this weekend. So I'm with you. Number 2, Indiana. They are 8-0. They didn't move anywhere. They are the number 2 team in the nation taking on Maryland. So what do you got on Indiana and Maryland?
I think this is another one that Indiana, I have no reason to believe Maryland's going to beat them. I've become a big fan of Fernando Mendoza, Indiana's quarterback. I like what he does when he has the ball. He makes smart decisions. He's a good leader out there, and I just don't think Maryland has a shot at this game. I don't think it'll be close.
Yeah, I'll say this. At the end of the week this week, on Saturday night, I actually had texted Cam and I said, the top 25 comes out tomorrow. I really hope that Indiana moves into the number 1 spot. I understand Ohio State was on the bye week. I get that. But Indiana, the way they're playing right now, when you go look at the ratings and the rankings of where they're at on offense and defense, you don't see them in the top 10 on offense. You don't see them in the top 10 on defense. And they went out and beat a top 10 defensive team in Oregon and a top 10 offensive team in Oregon this past weekend. I think Indiana could go and be the number 1 team. I think they should be the number 1 team, but Ohio State has the number 1 spot on lockdown right now. So, and Indiana didn't go out and beat Oregon this week, but they beat Oregon sometime this season. They did. Number 3, Texas A&M. They are 8-0. They didn't move from the 3rd spot. They're on a bye week this week, as well as Alabama, who's number 4. They're 7-1 on their bye week. Number 5, Georgia. They're 6-1. They stuck around at the number 5 spot. They are going to be taking on Florida this week. So what do you got on Georgia and Florida?
Florida is a mess right now. They fired their coach a week or 2 ago, and they're just trying to figure things out. And this season is a wash for them. This should be an easy one for Georgia.
I agree with you. The more the season goes on, the more I start believing that Georgia could possibly make a run for the national championship. But, John, I do have my new national champion favorite. And when we're done running down this schedule, we are going to do a quick breakdown of the new projected college football playoff. So okay. I'm going to give you my new answer when we get to that segment before we close out tonight. Number 6, Oregon. They're 7-1. They did not move out of the 6th spot at all. They are on their bye week this week. Number 7, Ole Miss. They moved up 1 spot from 8 to 7. They're 7-1 on the year, taking on South Carolina this week. So what do you got on Ole Miss and South Carolina?
South Carolina has been a disappointment this year. They were supposed to be a national championship contender. Lenoris Sellers was supposed to be a Heisman contender, a top candidate for, and they have done nothing but disappoint. I really don't see a reason why Ole Miss should lose to South Carolina. I really don't.
I said a couple of weeks ago that Ole Miss was that nice, quiet team who, wanted to break the top 5. They finally did it, and when they did it, they end up going out and losing. But they didn't fall too far. They have an opportunity to get back into that top 5, possibly this week, depending on how things go. Now, do I see Georgia losing to Florida? No. Do I see Indiana losing to Maryland or Ohio State losing to Penn State? No. But if Georgia were to lose to Florida, there could be a big chance Ole Miss gets back into that top 5, and they are still that nice, quiet team who could be favored to get into that top 5. So I'm with you. I think Ole Miss goes out and beats South Carolina as well. Number 8, Georgia Tech. John, you've been very, very high on Georgia Tech this year. They moved down. 0. They moved down 1 spot from number 7 to number 8. They're 8-0 on the year, taking on North Carolina State. So what do you got on Georgia Tech and North Carolina State?
I want to say this is a good ACC matchup, but we won't see a good ACC matchup until Georgia Tech plays Pittsburgh, their second last game of the season. I mean, NC State. Sorry, I couldn't say it there. They're 4-4. They're an average team. Let's just be honest here. They're an average team. I really like Hines King. He's making smart decisions with the ball. He's not dominating stats, but he has 1 interception all year. and he's killing it on the ground with 12 touchdowns. He's not making turnovers, and that's one of the reasons why Georgia Tech is winning. Like, they're not turning the ball over. They're playing smart football, and that's why they're going to beat NC State.
All right. Number 9, Vanderbilt. They moved up one spot from number 10 to number 9. They're 7-1 on the year. They're going to be taking on number 20, Texas. Texas moved up 2 spots from 22 to 20. They're 6-2 on the year. What do you got on Vanderbilt and Texas?
This game intrigues me. It really does, because Alabama was their only loss. Texas is looking to show that they still can try to contend for the SEC. People are saying about Arch Manning's inconsistent play. Oh, this says trap game all over to me. It's in Texas, and I think Texas is going to upset Vanderbilt. I really do. It's because it's in Texas. I'm going with the Longhorns on the upset here.
I mean, the inconsistency of Arch Manning this year does not give me the belief that Texas is going to go in and beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, even losing to Alabama, they didn't lose their stride. You would think if they go in and lose to Alabama, they might have lost the stride. They would have probably went out and lost to Missouri, but they didn't. They went out and beat Missouri. Yeah, it was by 7 points, but who cares? They won. They beat them. Vanderbilt, they stayed confident, and they're continuing to move up. They break that top 10, which I'm very happy about to see. And I think Vanderbilt is going to win this game. Not big, but I think Vanderbilt has a huge opportunity to go out and win this ball game this weekend. I do. Texas is just, there's too much inconsistency for me to believe Texas goes in and wins this game, even with being at home. So we'll have to see what happens. Number 10, BYU, they moved up one spot from 11 to 10. They're 8-0 on the year on the bye week. Number 11, Miami, they moved down one spot from 10 to 11. They're 6-1 on the year, taking on SMU. So what do you got on Miami and SMU?
As much as I want to say I want to see SMU upset Miami, I don't think it's going to happen. Miami's only had one hiccup, and that was a loss to a very good Louisville team. They came back a week later and just trounced Stanford 42-7. Just making a statement saying, okay, we lost, but we're not Florida State. We're not Penn State. We're not going to go on a losing streak after we lose a game. We're going to take care of business, and we're going to keep playing for that ACC championship spot, because the top 2 teams in the ACC are Virginia, who I'm not 100% sure they're still going to make it, and Georgia Tech. And I still say that I'm standing by what I said when Miami played Florida State. I said the winner of that game would meet Georgia Tech in the ACC championship. I am standing by a Georgia Tech and Miami Hurricanes ACC championship. And I think this game against SMU will just be another step in their journey to get there.
Man, talk about motivating somebody to believe a different ACC title matchup opposed to what you're actually thinking. Like, I'm sitting here thinking that, yeah, we're going to get Georgia Tech and somebody else, not Miami. And right there, you're just like, nope. Just throw Miami right in my face.
I believe
bam.
It.
Now I'm like,
throw them back in. I'm not confident in Virginia yet.
Now I'm like, man, Miami and Georgia Tech sounds like a great ACC title matchup. Man. Number 12, Notre Dame. They are continuing their winning streak. They're 5-2. They're sticking around at the number 12 spot. They are going to be taking on Boston College this week. So what do you got on Notre Dame and Boston College?
I have no reason to believe that Notre Dame's going to lose this. Boston College has won one game all year. They've been a major disappointment. Notre Dame has 2 respectable losses. And then after that, they said, this isn't who we are. And they've won a 5-game winning streak. Notre Dame's just I think they're going to steamroll them.
All right. Number 13, Texas Tech. They moved up one spot from 14 to 13, 7-1 on the year. They take on Kansas State this week. So what do you got on Texas Tech and Kansas State?
I would love to see Avery Johnson and Kansas State upset Texas Tech. but I don't believe it's going to happen. Texas Tech has one loss on the year. It's a respectable loss to Arizona State, whereas Kansas State 4-4. They're trying to figuring out. I mean, they couldn't beat Baylor, they couldn't beat Arizona in the last couple weeks. I don't see a reason why Texas Tech shouldn't win this game.
You had me believing so much that was going to be your second upset pick of the week.
No?
You were just like so on track of like, I would love to see Kansas State just go out and take care of business, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I put the swerve there, man, the heel turn.
What's up, Tommy? Thank you for checking out the Tuesday episode of the Huddle Hub podcast. Thank you for stopping in.
Thanks for joining us.
We got number 14, Tennessee. They moved up 3 spots from 17 to 14. They're 6-2 on the year, taking on number 18, Oklahoma. Oklahoma moved down 5 spots from 13 to 18. They're 6-2 on the year. So what do you got on Tennessee and Oklahoma?
This one can go either way, to be honest with you. Like, this is crazy. Both of these guys have quality losses. They have quality wins. But I don't know. For me, I love Joey Aguilar, but I like John Mateer even more. And I think he's a slightly better quarterback. I'm going to go with, and I don't even consider this an upset because they're both 6-2.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Oklahoma squeaking by Tennessee in Tennessee as my second upset.
I mean, I said it last week that for the past 2 seasons, including this year and last year, that I've been very high on Tennessee. I think they're a strong team. I think they could be national title contenders, but I would say very slowly as the year gone on, that belief kind of just started fading away a little bit. I'm with you on this. I think Oklahoma can go out and beat Tennessee. I do. Tennessee had me believing that they can go out and beat Alabama, and their defense just came out and dominated Tennessee. Oklahoma is just like Ole Miss, I think. They're kind of quiet, but they're going out and taking care of the business they need to take care of. They're sticking around, and they have a possibility of maybe sneaking in to the 12-team playoff this year. So I'm with you. I think Oklahoma can go out and win this game as well. I do. Number 15, Virginia, they move up 1 spot from 16 to 15. They're 7-1 on the year. They're going to be taking on California this week. So what do you got on Virginia and California?
Oh, boy. I think this is probably Virginia's toughest game left on their schedule. I mean, I know they play Wake Forest, I believe, next week. And I know they still play Virginia Tech, and there's one other team they still play that I can't remember. But I think if there's going to be a trap game, Duke is the other team I can't remember. If there's going to be a trap game, it's going to be this for Virginia. If Virginia can beat Cal, I don't think they'll have a problem beating Duke. I don't think they'll have a problem beating
Virginia
Tech. But if they can survive this, it looks like they have a good shot. But I'm going to go ahead and say they win this game and lose to Wake Forest, because I do not see them going 11-1. I just don't see it. I think they'll win this game. Cal got upset by Virginia Tech last week. That's embarrassing. So maybe they bounce back. Who knows? But I think Virginia beats this one.
Part of your explanation with Virginia, I thought you were going to come out and say something about them possibly sneaking into the ACC title game. I was about to say, John, you just had me believe in Georgia Tech and Miami. Don't take this away from me.
They're either going to, if they don't lose this week, it's going to be to Wake Forest.
Yeah.
But I do not see them going into the ACC title game.
Well, speaking of Virginia Tech, they're going to be taking on number 16 Louisville. Louisville moved up 3 spots from 19 to 16. They're 6-1 on the year. So what do you got on Louisville and Virginia Tech?
That's great that Virginia Tech, as I just mentioned, they upset Cal in overtime last week. That's great. but they're playing a very, very good Louisville team. And if Miami doesn't make it, I want Louisville too. But like I said earlier, I still think it's going to be Georgia Tech and Miami. I love what Miller Moss is doing with Louisville. It was very smart move for him to transfer from USC over there during the transfer portal. And I don't see it. I don't see Virginia Tech beating Louisville. I think Louisville is going to continue to roll.
Until about 3 weeks ago, I didn't know how Louisville was doing. I didn't. I honestly did not know how good Louisville was doing until it was fully brought to my attention. And now that I'm seeing this Louisville team and paying more attention to what they're doing, man, I'll say this. I have a feeling that they might make a lot of noise these last couple weeks.
I hope they do. I really hope they do. I have nothing against Louisville.
I think they may play disruptor a little bit for some situations. I do. I feel like they might.
My eyes to Louisville was 2 weeks ago was when they beat Miami.
Yeah.
That's what really woke me up to them when they gave Miami their only loss. And I was like, all right, let's go.
And that's exactly what was when it was brought to my attention. I'm like, oh, wow, hold on. They're doing something here. And now I feel like the back end of this year, I feel like they're going to play. They might play some disruptor. They're going to make a lot more louder noise. And there's a chance they might do something for themselves as well. Am I sitting here saying playoffs? No, but a good bowl game, a very, very good bowl game. Maybe one of the New Year's 6 games. Who knows? But the way they're playing right now, man, whew. Number 17, Cincinnati. They moved up 4 spots from 21 to 17. They're 7-1 on the year. They're going to be taking on number 24, Utah. Utah moved up 2 spots from being unranked to 24. They're 6-2 on the year. So what do you got on Cincinnati and Utah?
Cincinnati is sneaky good this year. Like, it's crazy. Like, I did not expect them to be 7-1, 5-0 in the Big 12. At the beginning of the year, I flat out predicted Utah to win the Big 12. And if they're going to have a shot at that, they need to beat Cincinnati and get a little help down the stretch. It's in Utah. Utah is just coming off a blowout win against Colorado after they lost to BYU. So just like Miami did, Utah had made their statement win after their loss saying, hey, this isn't us. This isn't us. This might be our second loss, but we are not this team. So I think they're going to continue to roll, and they're going to give Cincinnati their second loss. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is their second loss.
Yeah. All right. Well, number 19, Missouri, they moved down 4 spots from 15 to 19. They're 6-2 on the year on the bye week. Number 21, Michigan, they moved up 4 spots from 25 to 21. They're 6-2 on the year. They're going to be taking on Purdue. So what do you got on Michigan and Purdue?
I really don't see any reason why Michigan will have a hiccup in Purdue. I mean, Purdue was 2-1, and then conference play happened. Now they're 0-5 in conference play. I don't see any reason why Michigan's going to have any problems handling Purdue.
Yeah, what's really Michigan all year, they really just had me feeling like they were a team that, they kind of just disappeared. I'll just put it this way. They disappeared. They disappeared from under the radar. And part of me is like, how are they 6-2? What have they been doing to be 6-2? And then you go look at their schedule and it's like, okay, now I see what they've been doing to be 6-2. Are they going to go out and go for a Big Ten title? No. Are they going to make a playoff? No. But they're trying to rebound because I believe last year they didn't have a good year at all. So this is like their rebound year to say, okay, we'll go 6-2 right now. Maybe we'll finish, maybe 11-3 or 11-4 or 11-3 or maybe 12-2, something like that. Make a nice bowl game, New Year's 6 game, whatever. But playoff, no. Big Ten title, no. This is a bounce back year for Michigan. It is. And things can only look up for them. They are one of the top power schools. They are. And as we know, John, power schools really don't stay out from under the radar long. This is like that year that Michigan's out, and they'll probably be right back in come next year. So, number 22, Houston, they moved up 4 spots from being unranked to 22. They're 7-1 on the year, taking on West Virginia. So, what do you got on Houston and West Virginia?
Oh, yeah, West Virginia's a dumpster fire this year. Their top 2 running backs are out. They don't have a solid quarterback. Their last win came week 3 against Pittsburgh, and that was an amazing game against the Backyard Brawl, but that was it. They haven't won a Big 12 game, and I have no reason at all to say there's going to be an upset. The Cougars are going to pounce all over the Mountaineers. It pains me to say that, but I mean, the West Virginia's just really bad this year.
All right. We got number 23 USC. They moved up to the 23rd spot from being unranked. They're 5-2 on the year, taking on Nebraska. So what do you got on USC and Nebraska?
Game really intrigues me because Nebraska was one of those teams that I was really high on, man. I was a really big fan. I shouldn't say was. I still am a really big fan of Dylan Raiola, Nebraska's quarterback. But they're getting there. They're improved, but they're not there yet. I mean, they couldn't even beat Minnesota, 2 weeks ago. But yet they can beat Michigan. Like, the pieces are there, and they're starting to figure it out. They're 6-2, but it's just they're not there yet. And I think USC is going to go right into Nebraska. I don't think they're going to crush them. I think it'll be a competitive game, but I think USC is going to beat them.
All right. Finally, number 25, Memphis. They moved into the 25 spot from being unranked. They're 7-1 on the year. They're going to be taking on Rice. What do you got on Memphis and Rice?
Well, I mean, American action. Rice is 4-4. To be honest with you, I don't really know too much about Rice. I haven't been really following them. But Memphis is 7-1. They're on a roll. And I don't see why that roll won't continue against a 4-4 team. I think the Tigers will beat them.
All right. Well, that's the rundown for the top 25. All the action happening on Saturday. We'll have to see what happens. And you can check out all of the content from the top 25 rundown over on the YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod and over on the TikTok at the Huddle Hub Podcast as content gets posted throughout the week before Saturday. John, one last thing. We have the college football playoff projections that are out right now. And these are the projections. College football playoff projections. Ohio State would be number 1. Alabama would be number 2. Indiana is number 3 at the moment. Texas is number 4. Georgia is at number 5. They would end up playing Memphis in the first round. Oregon's number 6. They would play Vanderbilt in the first round. BYU is number 7. They would take on Notre Dame in the first round. And Georgia at number 8 would take on number 9 Ole Miss.
So do you want to do like projections 1.0 this week?
I mean, I think what we can do is seeing that, you know what?
It's about halfway. I mean,
we are at the halfway. So we are at the halfway mark. So let's do projections 1.0. Just give me 1 second here so I can write this down and keep track of this. I'm just going to kind of hand sloppy it now, and then I'll make it a little nicer after the show today. I'll work on that, make it look a little nicer.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're going to do your first round first, and then I'll give my first round. And then we'll move down to the second round and do it that way. And then we'll move on and so on and so forth. Kind of like what we do with the NFL, but we're going to do this with college football.
Sounds good.
Okay, so in the first match, so Ohio State, Alabama, Indiana, Texas are the first round buys. Now, as we know, the lowest seed remaining, I believe, actually no, because that's not how the bracket would be. So I would have to kind of give myself a little bit of a bracket vision here. So our first matchup will be Memphis and Georgia. So Georgia and Memphis. We're just going to work this off as Memphis and Georgia. The winner of that would end up playing Ohio State. So we'll put that as Ohio State. Okay, so give me 1 second here. And then the second matchup would be Vanderbilt and Oregon. So I'll put Vandy and Oregon. And we'll just assume they play number 2 Alabama. Just trying to give myself a visual here real quick. Number 10 Notre Dame would play number 7 BYU. So Notre Dame, BYU. And we'll project that they play number 3 Indiana. And then the last matchup is Georgia Ole Miss. Or no, not Georgia. Georgia Tech is number 5. So Georgia is number 8. So Georgia would play Ole Miss.
Okay.
And then the winner of that, we can project that they would play Texas.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so here we go. All right. So now I gave myself a little bit of a visual here.
Okay.
All right, so first round matchup, John. Georgia Tech and Memphis. Winner would take on Ohio State. So who would you have, Georgia Tech or Memphis?
It's great that an American conference school would make the playoffs, but they're not ready for Georgia Tech. Feel the sting, baby.
So Georgia Tech over Memphis. Okay. Vanderbilt against Oregon.
Vanderbilt, and who does the winner play?
The winner plays Alabama.
You know what? I think Oregon's going to win, but because I want to see it, I want to see Vanderbilt and Alabama in the playoffs. I'm going to say Vanderbilt.
Okay, so Vandy over Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay. Notre Dame and BYU. The winner would play Indiana.
That's a tough one. I really like what BYU's doing, but Oregon's on a tear. BYU's on a tear.
Would be BYU and Notre Dame. Sorry, BYU and Notre Dame. If I said Oregon, I'm sorry. It's Notre Dame.
Oh, no. If I said it wrong, that's my fault. Man, I'm going to go with BYU for the upset.
Okay.
Just to make things interesting.
Okay. All right, and then the last matchup would be Georgia and Ole Miss. The winner would take on Texas.
Ole Miss has been off the chart this year.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how does Texas get a first round bye? Wouldn't it be like Texas Tech?
When I looked at
Texas is ranked number 20 or something.
Yeah, I mean the projection said Texas.
Oh, okay.
That's the weird part. It did say Texas. I mean, if you give me a second, I can go back and look at the projection, but
well, regardless of who it says, I'm taking Ole Miss. They look really strong this year, so I'm going to go with them.
Okay, so college football current playoff projection. College football playoff picks as of right now. See, now all these picks are different. That's the hard part. These are picks.
Well, we can just keep it as is for now. And then do like an actual predictions when they start. Our next set of predictions could be the actual playoffs.
Yeah, because I'm just running down here real quick. Yeah, because they're projecting Texas. So yeah, some of the projections do say Texas. Yeah, some of the projections do say Texas.
Just making sure, because I know Texas Tech is ranked higher. That's why I wanted to make sure.
Well, I mean, we're gonna do that. We're gonna have the next projections next week. It's not so much we have to do a projection pick like we're doing tonight. Maybe we'll do it again in 2 weeks, but we're gonna keep up with the projections. So
sounds good.
Yeah, so that's what we'll do. Is sorry, so I did mess up and I read it wrong. It's Texas A&M, not Texas.
Oh, okay.
I missed the A&M.
Say, Texas seems a little too far down the totem pole to make the playoffs this year.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I read that wrong. It is saying Texas A&M, so it is Texas A&M. So Texas A&M would be the winner of Georgia and Ole Miss. So go ahead.
Okay, so what am I picking again, real quick?
So Georgia and Ole Miss, winner takes on Texas A&M.
Ole Miss, hands down.
Okay,
they just look too strong this year.
Okay. Georgia. Okay. All right, so I'll give my first round. I'm gonna straight up say Georgia Tech over Memphis as well. It's nice to see that Memphis is even being considered, to the fact that they just hopped into the top 25, and they're making some type of noise. And that team, like that sleeper team that people are going to sleep on, and could possibly come in and give Georgia Tech a run for their money. But I see Georgia Tech in the long run getting away with this one and moving on to take on Ohio State. I'm with you. Vanderbilt has me highly convinced right now that they could make a run for the SEC title this year. And they just keep moving up that board to the point where I think they can go out and beat an Oregon team. I do. So I'm completely with you. Vanderbilt over Oregon to move on and take on Alabama. I got to say this, as much as BYU is being very impressive this year, Notre Dame coming back from an 0-2 start and sticking around in the top 25 is impressive of its own. I have to say Notre Dame over BYU. I do.
I agree with that completely. I just took them because I wanted to see a Big 12 team get in there.
And that's okay. Georgia and Ole Miss, winner take on Texas A&M. Like I said, Georgia, I had no convince whatsoever that Georgia would be in the position they're in today. I had no convincing. Ole Miss at the same time, they're that very, again, quiet, under the radar team, not getting a lot of attention, but sticking around to where they need to be in this position. I got to go Ole Miss over Georgia at the end of the day.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we necessarily picked pretty much all the same ones, but BYU and Notre Dame. So in the second round, you would have Georgia Tech taking on Ohio State.
Oh, man, that's a hard one to pick.
World Series is about to be crazy time. I mean, after the 18-inning game last night, I mean,
oh, boy,
it's going to be crazy.
You know what? As much as I want to take Georgia Tech, I don't think they're good enough to beat Ohio State. Ohio State has just been on a tear this year. Not saying Georgia Tech hasn't, but I feel like the Big Ten is tougher competition than the ACC. So I'm going to go with Ohio State.
I mean, I'll say this. Me and Cam did have a discussion about Ohio State and Indiana over the weekend. And we kind of did the comparison of schedules between the two and who has the tougher one. And when you look at Ohio State's schedule, I mean, beginning of the year, you look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, they got to play Penn State. Penn State's the top team. Penn State's not a top team no more. Oh. They're out of it. They're a down team. And Ohio State really did not play many tough teams. When you look at Georgia Tech and what they've been able to do this year, they've been in a lot of tough matchup games. I think Georgia Tech, if Georgia Tech and Ohio State can stay close going into the fourth quarter, I think Georgia Tech would have more of the resiliency. I do. I think Georgia Tech in the long run would have more of the resiliency. I'm going to go Georgia Tech over Ohio State as the upset. I am. Okay. I want to. I want to.
I like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I know you were going to make your next pick, but I had to get my thought in there real quick. Second matchup. Second matchup, we both have Vanderbilt going into the second round to take on Alabama.
I think this is going to be a revenge game for Vanderbilt, and I think they're going to shock them and beat them.
Okay.
Maybe by like 6 or 3. It's not going to be a blowout, but I think they're going to handle their business this time.
See, now I feel very different with how great Vanderbilt has been playing this year and sticking around to where they're at. I think this is where the train stops. I'll say this right now, as much as I hate to say it, because I'm not a big fan of Alabama, I gotta go Alabama on this one. I think this is where the train stops for Vanderbilt. I do. As much as I hate saying it, because Vanderbilt made me a believer this year. They did. But I got to go Alabama over Vanderbilt. The next matchup would be you got BYU and I got Notre Dame taking on Indiana.
Since it's BYU I picked just because I wanted a Big 12 team there, I think Indiana's going to beat them to be honest with you. I love what BYU's done this year. They're on a roll, but I don't know, something about Indiana this year. I don't know if if it feels like a team of destiny with them, but they look almost as unstoppable as Ohio State, in my opinion. I'm going with Indiana.
Yeah, I'm going Indiana over Notre Dame. Again, Notre Dame, they get on this winning streak. They're probably going to get into the playoffs and how this projection looks right now. But Indiana, I think if I had to put Indiana side by side with Ohio State, I think Indiana is the much stronger team. They are.
Ooh, Cam says Notre Dame squashes Indiana. Squashes, not even a close game.
I can't. No, I cannot agree with that. I think Indiana takes care of the business.
Like
the last one, John, we both took Ole Miss over Georgia in the first round. The winner would take on Texas A&M, so we're both taking Ole Miss taking on Texas A&M.
I like Ole Miss winning this game. I believe they're currently ranked 3 right now. They're another team that just looks like they're on a roll. And to be honest, I want to see an Indiana Ole Miss semifinal, so I'm going Ole Miss.
Okay. I mean, I'm with you too. I think Ole Miss goes out. They're that, I've been saying it all show, they're that team that's not under the radar, and I think they'll continue to do so, even going into the playoff and through the playoff. And I think they go in and beat Texas A&M as well. I do. All right, so then that would set up, John, you would have Ohio State taking on Vanderbilt, and I would have Georgia Tech taking on Alabama. So what is your Ohio State Vanderbilt?
I think this is where the ship sinks for the Commodores. I can't say train because they're not Purdue. This is where the ship sinks. The anchor gets blown out the water. We're not anchoring down anymore. That's it. Ohio State's going to say, hey, you did good. You went on a nice run, but we're going to show you why we're the best team in the country.
Okay. I mean, Georgia Tech, Alabama. Again, I have Georgia Tech going in and beating Ohio State because of the resiliency. But hold on. Because
you had me there.
My semifinal is Georgia Tech, Alabama. That's the difference. I took Georgia Tech because I think they have the resiliency of going in to beat Ohio State because of that. The resiliency, finishing all 4 quarters where Ohio State doesn't have to worry about playing all 4 quarters sometimes. This is where I think Georgia Tech would hit that roadblock because Alabama and that defense, they play all 4 quarters. They do. That's why I have to go Alabama over Georgia Tech in the semifinals.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
All right. So your next one would be Indiana and Ole Miss in the semis.
As much as I want to see Ohio State play Indiana, I think this is where it ends for Indiana. The Hoosiers have a lot of promise. They improved a lot from last year. They're giving a lot of hope for their fans. And I just think Ole Miss is just too big of a team right now. Like Cam said in the chat, they're the big bad bullies. I think they're going to bully their way past Indiana. And we're going to see Ohio State and Ole Miss.
I mean, this is a tough one because I have the same matchup, Indiana and Ole Miss. And this is where things kind of get tough for me. It does. I got to ride the Ole Miss train. I do. I'm with you. I think Ole Miss can continue doing what they've been doing, and they can go out and beat Indiana. Do I think Indiana is a strong team, stronger than Ohio State? Yes, all that stuff. But Ole Miss, there's something secret about Ole Miss that they're having the success they're having. And even in a loss, they're doing something. And I got Ole Miss over Indiana. So that would set up, John, you got Ohio State against Ole Miss in the national championship. I got Alabama against Ole Miss in the national championship. Who do you got being the national champion?
Funny thing is, now that I see the rankings, I confused Texas A&M with Ole Miss. I thought Ole Miss was 8-0 and number 3, but it's A&M. But I already made my picks, so all right.
You can make up for
honestly,
it you can make up for it in a week or two when we do this again. So
I like what Cam's saying in the chat. Ole Miss national champs. I think Ohio State, like you said earlier, benefited from an easier schedule. Like Penn State's not as good as who they used to be. Illinois was ranked, but you know what? They're Illinois. I mean, they have Michigan towards the end, but Michigan's another team that really isn't as good as a team as they used to be. Whereas Ole Miss, they battled Georgia. You know what I mean? They took it to, I forget who else they beat. Let me quick look that up. But I mean, Ole Miss, they lost to Georgia, but it was a battle. They beat Oklahoma, and then they beat LSU. I think Ole Miss has proven that they can take care of business when they have to. And Ole Miss over Ohio State. I'm going with Cam there. I agree with that.
So this is where I say that I have a new national champion pick because of, as much as I hate saying it, they've been impressing me so much these past couple weeks, and that's Alabama. I think Alabama is on the straight track of unstoppability, and I think they are heading straight for another national championship, and I got Alabama winning over Ole Miss. So it is so tough. And John, you know how much I dislike Alabama. You know it. It's just so hard to say it, but I can't discredit what they're doing right now.
I mean, they ran a gauntlet of good teams. I mean, they ran through. They beat Georgia, beat Vanderbilt, beat Missouri,
Tennessee.
Beat Tennessee. I mean, they were close games, but the good teams win close games. It's just that simple.
And it's just all about that defense. Yeah, Cam, unstoppability. It's a new one.
Yeah, that's new.
Cam, you know me long enough to where I can make up words. John has known me long enough to where I can make up words, and they kind of make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that's it for projection. We'll do another one in about a week or two. We're going to keep up with the projections anyways as the weeks go on. So we'll have the next set of projections next week. Whether we do this or not, it's still yet to be determined, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll still have the projections, though, next week. With that being said, that's all we got. John, before we get out of here, number one, I want to let everybody know to please head over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social media after the show over on X, TikTok, and YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. You hit the subscribe button to follow over on YouTube, follow button on X and TikTok, and over on the Huddle Hub Podcast Twitch channel at the Huddle Hub Podcast. Make sure you're following all the content that was posted in the past and posted in the present, and the content that's coming in the future. All the content that John's building up for our Dynasty and NCAA Football 26, and all the content coming from the shows that is posted on a weekly basis. Please make sure you're following the Huddle Up Podcast on social media as we build the Huddle Up Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. John, your social medias are going to be on the bottom. What do you want to let the people know? What do you got going on?
Oh, I'm working on our online Dynasty for College Football 26. I've decided I'm going to drop 2 seasons at a time. I dropped the first 2 back-to-back, so I'm going to drop season 3 and 4 back-to-back. We just started the playoffs right now in season 4, so look for that maybe in a week or so for season 3 to drop. And, I mean, just check me out on Twitch. I'm on TikTok now, as it says, so you'll see shorts that I make. Not just video games, just real life stuff too. So yeah, just check it out. Much appreciated.
So make sure you're heading over and following John on all social media platforms that he is on, checking out his live streams over on Twitch, checking out the content he's posting over on the Huddle Podcast YouTube channel and on his personal. So make sure you're checking all that out. Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, Metal Mike 714 is where you can find me. I don't post much content personally. I just post stuff. That's it. I don't have a set of content. All my content creating is here on the shows, here on the Huddle Podcast every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with John, and every Sunday morning with Cam at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch me over on the Table Spot on Monday nights and on the Boom Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite, after Monday Night Raw, over on Rivet City Radio's Twitch and Off the Top Media's YouTube channel with Cam and Phil on Wednesday nights, talking about everything that happens on the shows after the show. With that being said, thank you for stopping by tonight. Be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Until next time, we'll see you on the next episode of the Huddle Podcast on Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, have a great night. Deuces.